It's 2017. Let's get into the details of the conversation tonight. Like Rose Gakuo properly articulated it, we're talking about women issues and we're talking about representation of women and their space in politics. And definitely I'm joined by Dunstan Omari, our resident political analyst, as well as Atieno Otieno, who is the Jubilee Governor candidate in Kisumu County, the lakeside county of Kisumu. Thank you very much all for joining us. First of all, Dunstan Omari, again, our condolences to you after losing your nephew last night in very controversial circumstances. You would want to speak about that? Yeah, it was quite unfortunate. One of my nephews, a Form 4 student going to do an exam, was shot by the police. Extrajudicial killing. It's very unfortunate that the youths, these politicians, I don't know what they're doing. Yeah. They want the youths to vote for them, but they are not checking that the police do not use extrajudicial killing. It's quite unfortunate. The police at Soweto had to shoot a young boy. More than 15 shots. It is macabre. It is bad. It is not, it's not what something anybody wants. We are low, but as a family, we will look for justice. Absolutely. We'll invoke all the legal mechanisms to get justice done. Absolutely. Our condolences to you and your family. Let's get to this conversation. And I'll start with you, Atieno Otieno. In the first place, do you think there's political space enough for governor candidates as well as senator candidates in this country in terms of the strides that we've made for the last 5 years?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here on the national television. And I want to thank God for this time and the Jubilee Party for giving me this opportunity to vie for governor's position in Kisumu County. Yes, indeed, there is space for the woman in Kenya at the highest levels, at gubernatorial for now and for senatorial position. It is true that as we have reached at this particular level with our new dispensation in the constitutional reforms, we have the space. And we have the opportunity, and the women are available for that kind of opportunity. And they have shown it. They have come up to be able to vie for these positions, and we know it is the right time for the statement to be made. And the woman voter, the youthful voter, and the general voter is actually alive to that fact. Okay. Yes. Dunstan Omari, when you put this conversation in terms of a 2013 polls and 2017 polls, that are for the statement to be made, and the woman voter, the youthful voter, and the general voter is actually alive to that fact. Okay. Yes. Dunstan Omari, when you put this conversation in terms of a 2013 polls and 2017 polls that are actually about 58 days away, you realize there's an influx of, female candidates in this election, and perhaps this could put to rest the debate we have had about the 2/3 gender principle if they are actually elected.
Well, what is there is that we have more candidates from the female gender contesting for elective posts. The question in the House is, will they be elected? Putting in papers is one issue. Being announced by the IBC that you have won is a different issue. Has the terrain, has the environment that has been anti-women been sorted out? Has the legal regime provided for mechanisms where women are going to participate fully? The type of violence we see being meted to women, has the government, has the political class dealt with that question? The social aspect of the voter who sees a woman not as a candidate, but as a woman first, then a candidate second, has it changed? So in my own view is that more have put their names in the ballot. Still, the number to reach a third gender is a mirage. But it is progressive. The women have come up to fight. They need to sell their policies. They should also learn that that violence is not going to go anywhere. They must develop and design strategies to make sure that they do not get irritated when men talk badly about them. They should not pull out because there is some violence. My good councillors told me it was chaos at Nyando, and it was a nasty experience. But now they've got to look far away. But generally, the country is becoming receptive to the leadership, of women.
Very quickly, in terms, of painting a typical day for you in the campaigns, and because Omari talks about the challenges that you have to face of people looking at you as a woman candidate, particularly when you're traversing the whole of Kisumu County to try and seek votes for your gubernatorial bid. What would you say are your daily challenges in your bid?
First and foremost, you sleep very late. Those types of midnight, past midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And you have to wake up very early for us in the rural setup, because the voters are really looking for opportunity to interact with their leaders. So they will be there quite early. And you have to talk to them, you have to address them, starting from breakfast time. And they are quite understanding. Once you've talked to them, you told them my next issue is to move to a particular area. That means you must wake up quite early, talk to them in good time, then start your day, which starts with several meetings. And being a rural setup and a city setup, you have to balance those two. So by the time you finish with meeting groups and meeting elders and opinion shapers, and by the time you're through with it, you are well into the midnight. And it's quite a big challenge. And also being a city constituency as well, the security issue is quite real. You also have to be alive to that fact, that in between you must also juggle with your security issues as well. So it's quite a handful.
All right.
And we have to do it.
How are you dealing with, the culture of political violence? Because you're not the only candidate, particularly in the governor's race. And again, 2017 will be interesting because you're looking at a possible governor in Kirinyaga County, Machakos County. You're looking at Kitui County, I guess, and then Kisumu County. Here you've got. So at the end of the day, we will still have a woman candidate as, a woman governor at one point. How are you able to deal with that violence that is targeted against women in the campaigns?
It is true. It's indeed very true. There's a lot of violence at what happened in Nyando yesterday, where just a bunch of serious hooligans are unleashed by a political class to be able to hound opponents. And you do not play their game. Because if you want to hit violence with violence, we will never have a country. So what we have designed is to, in a way, to disarm these people by really coming up with the truth. Because somebody, like I said, someone comes to tell you that, we do not want anybody else vying in this race for governor's position. You do not exchange with these people in violent ways. You come up with serious reasoning, and you come up with patent questions, which completely disarms them. So in our situation for the women, we have to look for particular ways of not playing their game. It said when they go low, you go up. You rise higher. Yeah. So you cannot meet. When you start to meet with them at their level, then of course you're not going to end up anywhere.
Absolutely.
So we don't do that.
Dunstan.
Yes.
And the big question in the room is about the male candidates vis-a-vis, the female candidates. Because when you look at the case of Atieno, or even in the case of Machakos, Atieno has to face Jack Ranguma, who has a political network of about 5 years after being governor, Anyang Nyong'o, who's been the secretary general of a party for the longest time, and a minister, and now running for governor. You're looking at a case in Machakos where you have Wavinya running against, a current governor, that is Alfred Mutua, and his deputy, who have had political connections for the last 5 years. I mean, how difficult does it become for female candidates to campaign?
I find that the ladies who are contesting seems to think that they will define the rules of engagement based on their gender.
And you think they won't?
They will not succeed. Politics has rules of engagement that are universal. They don't change. So anybody saying that they will argue and disarm the goons, the first principle of politics is plus and inclusive of violence. You don't have it, either verbal violence, either psychological violence, either cultural violence, either physical violence, is part and parcel of the political...
But before you execute that point, let me catch you short. Is it ideal, because you say they're the rules of the game, is it ideal? Should violence really, whatever form, define politics in your ideal situation?
I've defined the various modes of violence. And all of them are part and parcel of the person who wins an election. So you as a candidate cannot define rules of football has its own rules.
Yeah.
You can't bring the rules of handball and try to use them in football. So the ladies, if you look at those ones who have, for example, in Kirinyaga, you can never see Anwe Guru in form of a gender called a lady. She gives as much as she takes. So that is how politics is. And the ladies who have learned that game are on top of issues. If you look at the Kalenjin nation, quite a number of the ladies have been elected to elective posts. The laws of Phoebe, those days, you could only realize that they were ladies by wearing a dress. So the game of politics worldwide, you saw the violence in America. You've seen the violence all over. So the violence does not only mean physical, it is every type of intimidation. Because in politics, it's perception. And the perception is that you must be a dominant figure. And dominance can be by body size, dominant can be the voice you raise, dominance can be the number of goons that you walk about with, dominance can be the number of helicopters you are moving with. And therefore, my good ladies should get lessons properly that they, if they're in politics, it is politics. It cannot be any. It cannot be
absolutely.
Any
But you agree we need to redefine this conversation. That's why I want to start with you, in terms of redefining the narrative, because from where Omari sits, he says this is something you cannot avoid in terms of violence you have to deal with, be it physical or psychological. It's violence you have to deal with. But at the end of the day, how are you women candidates, and particularly again in Kisumu, because it has been marked by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission as a hotspot for possible violence, before, during, and after the elections. How are you trying to redefine the narrative and the conversation?
What we are saying very clearly is that nobody will intimidate the female candidates. That one is very clear. You will not go there and cry baby that somebody is intimidating you. If you go into politics, it's true, there are certain aspects of violence that you must be able to say this will not happen. For example, like the day before yesterday on Friday, we had this man who approached one of our MCAs and was very violent with his words. When the MCA reported to me, I tell her, let's go to report it to the police station. This person is called, they talk about it, and the person says, I'll not do it again. So that way you've been able to handle that level. What the women are saying is, you will not sit somewhere in a cocoon and cry. No. You will sit there and define how you want your issues done. Right. What we are stating is, if the men will pick pangas, women will not pick pangas. Because we as life givers, we as caregivers don't react like that. That is why we are saying we must redefine how the politics in Kenya is being done.
All right.
The moment we go on a spark to spark, then we will not have a country.
Okay.
So the women will look at it differently.
All right.
Even the women that are in politics now, the way they are coming on top is not because we are violent physically, but we'll protect our space.
There's been a narrative of misogyny, and I'll engage Omari on that in a few. There's a narrative of misogyny, and much of the accusations here, and I know you saw one of the articles written by one of the writers, a very controversial writer on one of the dailies, and the accusation was, women are just selling us beauty. Why are you running for governor, Kisumu County?
Thank you very much. You know, one thing that the public and the political class has to be used to is beautiful women, whether they like it or not.
Ah.
Yes, because you are not going to intimidate a woman because she's beautiful. Because this is something that we are saying as women, that nobody will use how you look to intimidate you. Because it is not your mistake to look the way you look. It's a God-given thing. And if you can state your issues that can help in developing Kenya and your community, so be it. So the fact that certain groups of people think that women are only selling beauty is really not an issue. It's a way that some quarters have not been able to come to the fact that women are able to put issues on the table. So they look for ways of still intimidating them and saying, all you have is beauty. That is not the truth. And so I would like to urge Kenyans to look at women differently. Look at what are the issues they are putting on the table. Yes. The beauty aspect is God-given. You cannot use it as a weapon to intimidate the women. And I'm asking the women, don't let anybody intimidate you because of how you look. Because it's not your mistake. It's a virtue.
Absolutely.
Yes.
in major democracies, Dunstan Omari, in ideal democracies, this is not even an issue we should be discussing in the first place, how a woman looks or stuff like that. But when even a writer of a renowned paper, a woman actually goes to write such an article, doesn't speak perhaps of, as we move towards gender equality, there is still a far-fetched dream that all of us must work, towards.
What is happening is that when you look at the issue of women in politics, you look at the theories of feminism and the emancipation of women from a net bread eater to now the current position of an equal bread provider. Women have adopted and changed with time. Men have never changed anything.
True.
That is the whole problem that we have. The narrative is that from domestic aspect, from career perspective, from every aspect, the man has remained intact and conservative. The woman has been evolving the time. So now we are having a woman who we men are not able to handle. And that is why they are being seen as coming from a certain planet. Because all of a sudden, in the political arena, they have become the really political animal that has outpaced men. In the career sector, they've done that. In the corporate sector, they've done that. My good counsel, Wakilia, will tell you that in the legal profession, they are setting the pace. So the question that is there is that what is remaining for these women to see once they achieve that? Because in terms of the voters, they constitute over 54% of the voting bloc. Can they vote for themselves? That they have not addressed that question. Can they convince their women folk? Because politics is tribal. Yeah. If women manage to convince their bloc, then we'll have a two-dimensional type of politics. Tribal, ethnic-based, and gender-based. The women are failing me because that narrative, they are shy to bring it. But the tribal narrative is all over. Everybody will tell you, here, our guy is our guy. He comes from the community. Why don't the women start that narrative and say, if the parameter for voting somebody is not competence, is not about service delivery, is not about infrastructural and action plan and strategic plans on where we are going, is purely that he is my tribesman. Why don't we again start this, divide the country into two tribes, the women tribe and the male tribe, so that the tyrant of numbers, because this country, we move by tyrant of numbers of tribes. Why can't the women also have the tyrant of numbers by gender? So once my good sisters realize that they must get the political message that voters want to hear, but if they want to intellectualize the debate, then the men will be saying, it is beauty that they are bringing. And that is the narrative that we need to change. We need to be very forceful. The ladies need to come and dominate. Want to intellectualize the debate, then the men will be saying, it is beauty that they are bringing. And that is the narrative that we need to change. We need to be very forceful. The ladies need to come and dominate. They must take power. And the power is never given. Power is not a token to be granted the Musalia Mudavadi way that uniachie. Power is grabbed. People must work to have that power.
I don't know why you brought Musalia Mudavadi into this.
No, he's a guy who was military. 2013 up to 2017, a few days, he used to say, Awachiwe. He realized that Raila cannot give him power.
We'll talk about him on another platform. But very quickly, before we even get to because I want us to get to the issues of Kisumu County, because again, the idea to your heart as a candidate there. But there's a very important point that Omari makes, and that is the narrative that women are enemies to themselves. So as you campaign as governor candidate or senator candidate or what have you, how again are you trying to ensure that you transform the woman vote? Because like Omari says, if women vote for women candidates, absolutely you have a revolution in this country.
That's really true, and that is something we're addressing very critically, that as we speak, the voter is somebody that is getting much wiser, especially the female voter. We formed an organization called She for She, where the woman voter now knows that I will vote for Atieno because I can resonate with her. She knows my issues and she understands my issues. Even the youth voter has only realized that the woman is a very clear aspect of leadership. So that narrative is something that has been put in place, that is been given life by certain male dominant aspects which believe that they can play the woman against the woman. But now the situation is changing, because we have come to educate the local woman. We have come to educate the common woman and the elite woman. The reason why, and they see it, why they need to vote fellow women. And what this space is going to happen.
Let's talk about Kisumu County. Yes. ODM, the Orange Democratic Movement, is a dominant party in Kisumu County.
Yes.
Why would you run on a Jubilee Party ticket?
You know, we have democracy. And anybody can vie in any party. And the moment you feel you are not comfortable with a particular party, you have the right to move to the other party. So that is why I decided I am vying in the Jubilee Party.
So are you saying you were in ODM and then
realized?
Yes,
I was in ODM. I vied in ODM in 2013. For the same position.
Governor position.
Governor position.
Jack Ranguma beat you or controversially?
He did not beat us. He did not beat me. I clearly led in the nominations. I got this from the insiders of the party. I got this from people who were in that office. And even the people who kicked those boxes. They end up,
the men in black.
They go and count them and they will give you the information.
The men in black.
But it is quite clear that you make the decision on where you want to go. And that is why I made the decision I want to be in Jubilee Party. And as a fact, the Luo Nyanza is shifting how they are thinking. The correct position right now is that they are willing to vote from other parties, not exclusively ODM. And this time round,
but the party leader is telling them
the voter
to vote
has changed.
Piece.
It will not work. With due respect, it will not work. The 6-piece issue will not work in Luo Nyanza. And anybody thinking that will work, it's really thinking about other aspects. But the clear issue on the ground, the 6-piece will not work.
Is it easy for a Jubilee candidate to actually succeed in an ODM zone?
Well, people, John, don't contest to win. There are very many reasons people contest. Others are warming up. Like Raila said in 1997, he was warming up. This is his time for the presidency. So that might be one agenda. Number two, people might be strategic. A party might be strategic that it needs at least every seat for representation so that the presidential vote, they will have agents. So, for example, you'll find an ODM candidate in Ishaweri, in Gatundu South. Not that he's contesting to win, but there are some 1 or 2 votes for ODM that this person will take care. Free, it might be out of selfish interests. Remember, if a party is not predominant in a certain area, then students of politicians will always come and we consult to them and tell them the J.J. Kamodo theory must be there. J.J. Kamodo was the only Kikuyu in Kanu during Moi's time. And every time he got
was
0 votes...
Was he the only Kikuyu or the only seen public figure?
The image of Kanu was J.J. Kamodo. And every time the election was concluded, J.J. Kamodo was the first cabinet minister appointed. Those ones from Rift Valley who were supporting retired President Moi could not get, because already they are there now. So, for example, my good sister here, if Jubilee wins power, Onyango Lo has gone to the bush. She might be the face of Kenya from Luo Nyanza, and she'll under serious position politically. So it is not only that people contest to win in Ranguma's post or Anyang's post. That might be far-fetched. She knows why she's contesting. But where we are now... But
to be fair to her, can I cut you short so she can tell us?
I'm concluding. Yes. Where we are now, I'll tell her, unless a miracle happens, and miracles do happen. I've seen today the ICC ghost has woken up. Uhuru Kenyatta, who was trailing you'll see what is going to happen. That apathy that was in Central Province and Rift Valley
and we'll talk
is
about the
disappearing.
ICC at the end point. But to be fair to Atieno, because he has given 3 reasons as to why people vie, in where parties are not predominant. But what is your reason for vying as Governor Kisumu County on a Jubilee Party ticket?
You see, if you're a family of people and like a family of communities, for example, in Kisumu, in Kenya, we have various counties. Kisumu County is in special need. They do need to address their development issues. If you look at the narrative and how the development agenda has come up, Kisumu only develops with 1%. That is a very serious concern. And when we come out to vie for these positions, we have the agenda of our community at heart. And we are saying, with Kisumu County, with the water hyacinth there, we are able to make a move. And we are able to make this move within the first 100 days to be able to make sure that we use that water hyacinth, get out and have it done so that we can have an industry from it. We have the investors ready to make the fertilizers, to make power from it. And we have the women groups ready to supply this commodity to the industry. We are ready for the development agenda of Kisumu County. So once we are going for this position, not just for the sake of it, because we have laid out clearly how we want to help our community. And that water hyacinth, when we address it, we open up that area. We can even we will have the water sport. These are things that can be done. They are ready to be done. And after that, we are able to even address Kisumu County is a very good area agriculturally. We will do that.
But let's come back to the politics. How are you countering? Because anytime we talk about Jubilee or NASA or, Jubilee versus ODM, the conversation is seen largely, it's a contest between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. So how are you countering the ODM narrative so that you can become the governor of Kisumu County? We
have told our people and they listen to us. They've been in opposition for over 55 years. They need to have something to compare with their opposition position. How do you do that? You compare it with being in government. So you've given opposition 55 years of your life, give government only 5 years of your life.
The Honorable Raila
Generally speaking, the Luo community has been in opposition for all that long. So we are telling our community,
so the narrative is for them to join government?
They really need to join government so that they can compare the two. Because right now, all they have is the opposition side. We are just saying, let's come to government so you can give government only 5 years. Then now when you're making a decision, you make informed decisions.
All right.
Yes. So the narrative has changed. They are willing to join government.
Dunstan, because you appear to be opposed, to Jubilee succeeding in Kisumu. But very quickly, you and I know what happened during the ODM nominations. And of course, there's a resultant effect in terms of people who feel disaffectionate after the so-called shambolic polls when a winner is being announced somewhere in Nyakach, far away from Kisumu town, by a returning officer, and then there's another winner declared on this other side. Don't you think that could actually help Jubilee reap from this fallout?
The only alternative that was available is independent candidates, not Jubilee in Luo.
So you're saying Jack
not ODM in Central. The only avenue available, as I've said, was if they consulted. The only option available for anybody to be a serious contender is the independent candidate. When you look, for example, in Uasin Gishu, the candidate of the independent candidate called Buseki Bundotiji, who definitely, whether the deputy president has campaigned against him, the people are clinging to him. Why? Because according to what it is, now we have independent candidates of NASA and we have independent candidates of Jubilee. They are not going to have any flack or any animosity because they will be supporting the dominant presidential candidate.
So there's Jubilee independent and NASA independent.
They are nowadays called independent candidates of Jubilee and independent candidates of ODM. So that is a new monster that creates the third force, leave alone the Ukuro Court, the Third Alliance Highway. We have the ODM, we have the NASA Brigade, we have the Jubilee Brigade, then we have a third animal called the independent candidates, spearheaded by two formations. One, the Jubilee formation headed by the governor of Kiambu, Kabogo, with this coalition of all independent candidates,
Yes.
and the URP wing headed by Buseki, and also the ODM wing that has not found who their boss is. Is it Midiwo? Is it Otoma? Is it Ranguma? They're still coming up to get who they are. So my good sister has a chance of the Kamudo approach, not the chance to be elected as the governor of Kisumu.
Let me ask you this question, Omari, because from the nominations, there was a somehow ballot revolution.
Yes.
There was actually occasionally what you would call surprises being sprung by Wanjiku. And you're looking at a situation where, like Kahawa West, Kahawa Wendani, right, where you have an MC who's actually from a low community loading over, or what you will be the MCA to the dominant community there, that is actually Kikuyu. Or you see a cook in Kericho is actually elected MCA. Where you see the Keses, in the Jubilee candidate is actually Mishra, who is from the Hindu community, if you would actually, the Indian community, if you were to actually go by that. Don't you think this is actually a revolution where Wanjiku is actually saying, enough of this bickering, I want issues?
There was no revolution.
The voter is tired.
It was an anti-climax. I'll tell you for free, I have defended more than 40 cases at the Political Parties Tribunal. I moved with over around 15 cases to the High Court. I have around 6 at the Court of Appeal over the elections. One, were there elections? Nothing. There was no nomination. Were there party membership? Jubilee didn't have a register. The people of ODM and NASA voted for the weakest candidate in Jubilee. The people of Jubilee rallied behind the people in ODM who are weak candidates. There was infiltration. The people could vote 10 times. If the cook had learned the art of vote rigging, all the people who have tickets now are the experts in rigging. Let me wait and see on 8th. And that is why they are crying now, telling President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto that you must make sure the independents go
Let
out.
me hear your opinion on this one.
My opinion is quite clear that the voter has actually changed. And let me talk for my community. Because they have, for a long time, they have banked on this basket for a long time. And their reasoning now is changing. And the voter who is at the rural setup and even at the town setup have realized that there is need to change tact. And in this need to change tact, they are not going to vote specific parties. Yes. So the common voter who has realized that they need to dictate where their life goes, they need to dictate how they are governed, have made a decision. And from my community aspect, they will vote for the leader that they want. And it doesn't matter which party you are going to be in, they will vote you. And that is where they're going to vote me.
And the question is, as you seek to translate these votes to yourself as the governor candidate or the governor for Kisumu County, are you seeking to translate these votes to a win for your party leader, Uhuru Kenyatta?
Definitely.
So you say the people who vote for you will vote for Uhuru
Definitely. I believe in my president. And as I am asking for those votes, I am also asking for him.
Are you seeking to translate these votes to a win for your party leader, Uhuru Kenyatta?
Definitely.
So you say the people who vote for you will vote for
Definitely. I believe in my president. And as I am asking for those votes, I am also asking for him. And I'm telling my community, let us go this direction because we have a way out in this direction. That's why I'm asking them, let us compare these two.
Yes. Let me ask you, because again, this is the narrative that you have to form in terms of government vis-a-vis the opposition. What would you say that a governor aligned to the government has different from a governor aligned to the opposition?
In my view, the government still remains with a large chunk of the revenue. And as I ask my community to join government, I will first and foremost look at the agenda of my community vis-a-vis the resources that I have as the governor for Kisumu County. But I will also tap into the central government system because I know for a fact that that will help me and my community to move a much faster step. Compare those two. If you look at my community, and you look at the rest of the communities, I'm saying my people need that development agenda faster than yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going for.
Don't you think being in opposition perhaps is a good thing? There are better roads in some of these places that have been supporting opposition than the places that have been supporting government.
It's quite interesting, because when you listen to people from Mount Kenya region, they are grumbling that the president has never given them anything. When you listen to people from the Rift Valley region, they are grumbling with the insecurity, with all the challenges of development. Are jiggers only in opposition zones? The jiggers have now become a universal factor for the whole nation. I think, in my own view, the Constitution has properly provided for organs for determination of how resource allocation should be done. The Commission for the Revenue Allocation is one. The Salaries Remuneration Commission. Parliament itself is the one that allocates and apportions budgets. The Treasury. So in my own view, I want Kenyans to be disabused of this notion that there is money anywhere the president or Jubilee or NASA, when they take government, they have. No money is there to be distributed at the discretionary level.
But you can tap, like she says, resources from a national government, because there are only a few functions that have actually been devolved. The ones that remain are the national government. Don't you think perhaps being friendly to government can actually...
I would be very comfortable voting for a council, my good colleague in the profession, and all the people who are contesting, if they will come to this media, KBC, and tell citizens that we want to implement Article 10 of the Constitution, that transparency and accountability of any government is mandatory. We cannot be propagating ideals of an opaque government that says that come and sing to me in State House. You remember when we used to go to Mululu to sing for Moses, the late Musalia's father, when people could go to Kambani for Mulu Mutizia's functions, when people used to go to State House? We need a culture now when we are saying that it does not matter who is the president. What matters is the country.
Let me cut you short, because I see we have about 4 minutes to wind up this show. But again, there are questions that are being asked by residents of Kisumu, and you have to answer them. And the question of water hyacinth, because they say this has been a political carrot that has been hung, in front of them. We understand the national government actually got about hundreds of billions when the president was in London to actually deal with water hyacinth. But in terms of how you're going to, lead this issue as the governor, to ensure again that even as it is removed, it doesn't become a menace once again, what are the proactive roles you're going to play as governor to rid water hyacinth in the area?
I've already informed you earlier on that there's already an investor on the ground, and as we speak, we are collecting women groups and youth groups who are going to deliver the water hyacinth in terms of tons and will be paid a particular figure. So that is something ongoing. And as that is happening, of course, it has the long-term effect. We are going to use it for the fertilizer, and we are going to use it for power generation. And that aspect will also clear the pollution, which has bedeviled the lake. And the moment you open it up, you bring in other activities, economic activities like boat riding, water sport, and those kind of activities. So it is something that will take place and is already going on now. I didn't have to wait to be the governor of Kisumu County for that to go on. So that is one aspect that is clear. This particular company has even done agreements with the companies outside Kenya, and the Kenyan government is also in it. So the central government has also plunged into this to work together in partnership with Kisumu County so that we are able to move this to another level.
Okay, fantastic. Let's take a breather. When we come back, we shall discuss this for 2 minutes, and we'll talk about the water problem, because the question is, there is a lake in Kisumu County. Why should there be a water shortage in Kisumu County? And there's a $1 million question. There is fish in Lake Victoria. Why should it be expensive at the shores of Lake Victoria? And we'll talk about that in a minute. Don't go too far. We're coming back in a moment to talk about the ICC, your pet subject. We'll talk about it right away. And then Rose Gakuo will bring response. Don't go too far. You're back on the show, and thank you very much for your responses. We'll be sampling them as we wind up, and indeed some of them are very encouraging, and it's good to see there is some good reception, about female candidates, and this is a conversation we'll continue having. But very quickly, before we took a breather, I was talking about the water problem, because this is a very dear issue to the people of Kisumu. What are you going to do when you become governor?
In my manifesto, one of the key issues that I want to address is the water issue. Women spend a lot of time looking for water, and our child mortality rate is very high because of unclean water that is not clean. We have talked about this with the relevant ministry, Eugene Wamalwa. We are looking for ways out how we are going to have water pans so that we are able to have water for agricultural purposes. The kitchen garden factor, so that they have enough food and they are able to irrigate their land. So that when we have water, it's a key indicator in how we are going to develop at a very fast rate. When you have water, you can keep that grid cow, just one, instead of having very many. So when this woman has this cow in her compound, she can irrigate, she can grow the food, she can feed her child because she'll have enough milk. As a result, she can sell that milk, pay the school fees, and the child will be able to, her life is going to be able to improve. Secondly, the agricultural aspect will be able to improve. We've been doing this with Kenya Seed. We are bringing the right seeds because we realize women and most of the farmers use wrong seeds. So we brought in the Kenya Seed as partners, and we give women group seeds so that they're able to grow enough food. Why are we doing this? So that we can be able to have enough and then we can sell. We are also looking at the issues of the airport at Kisumu. What we are saying, once we are in position, and we are already doing this with the women and the youth groups, we can be able to grow enough, we can be able to export through the airport, so that then the women and the youth can be able to have food and they can be able to have enough money from their exports.
Let's go back to the aspect of water before you continue, because all of us are very familiar with that clip here. Serikali's idea is actually from Kano, right?
Yes.
Where every other time the rains are a curse, and the sun is also a curse.
Yes.
I mean, how do you plan to address this?
That's why I'm saying the water issue is a devolved issue. But we have to work with partners, because to get enough water to the electorate and to the population is a very expensive thing. So what do? We have to work with partners to make sure that the electorate and the common person is able to have water which is cheap, because another aspect is the cost. The cost of getting water to the electorate is very expensive. So when we work together with partners and like-minded organizations, we can have these water pans where we can save this water during the rainy seasons. We can have them channeled into the right water pans so that they can be used as the drought sets in. There's already another aspect of a big dam going to be built in the sides of Awasi to be able to contain enough water that can now then flow down to the Kano areas and Kisumu County areas to be able to help the local person appreciate the fact that you can use that land, which is very fertile, to grow enough food and to be able to have enough to export.
All right. Decongesting the town of
Kisumu. The town of Kisumu, once we have the farms working right, and we give our people the right narrative that this farm is our source of income, and we are able to move our youth from the border business, which is very dangerous, we let them come and see the reason why at the farm level it is safer, it is easier, and it can give them market.
So you'll ask them to discard border and go back to farming? To
a particular extent, we need them back to the land, because the land is idle. The border aspect is also causing a lot of mayhem, the accidents. And what are we saying? Please come back to the land. We can use this aspect to grow food and to be able to have enough to feed us. And on the aspect of border, we are using a very simple technique, the beehive issue. One beehive will give 10 kilos of honey. So if we have one youth having about 10 beehives, which is at a cost of about 4,000 shillings for one beehive, they'll be able to sell that 10 kilos of honey in just one set of selling. They've already paid the cost and they're able to get the profit. So that will help them improve the environment, have the food being the food growing up efficiently, and it's a clean environment. We have the market to sell even that honey, which will come from the youth groups. And we are even offering a forest. If you don't have a place to put it, we are offering people who have small bit of forest, incubate them for them there, so that they can feed them.
Okay. At least Omari now knows you have an agenda. So, Omari, very quickly, in less than a minute, the ICC issue, it has been resuscitated again. Anton Steinberg, talks about the prosecution and, saying that they're hoping for another regime that will actually give them evidence. How does it change the political terrain as it is?
Let me tell you, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto are praying and thanking their God. The miracle that they were waiting for. To resuscitate their campaigns to remove the voter apathy in their regions has come through the ICC. The NASA brigade must be crying so badly that the repeat of 2013 is here. Definitely, the 2017 elections, until when that utterance was made, in 2013 one utterances, choices have consequences. Tukurela home. 2017, 65 days before the elections date, Spellberg has given a tough utterance in the knee. We hope a friendly regime is taking power in Kenya, then we shall open up the cases. Definitely, what does that mean? Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and William Ruto will be carried and taken over to the ICC because the cases were never terminated. The cases were only declared to... Definitely, what does that mean? Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and William Ruto will be carried and taken over to the ICC because the cases were never terminated. The cases were only declared to be a miscarriage. I really now see a lot of passion in the central region and all over. Will Jubilee lose that chance that God has given them within 65 days?
As we wind up, in the event Raila Odinga is elected president and you're elected governor, Kisumu County, you will be a Jubilee governor and there will be a NASA president. So how will you relate?
Once a leader is in position, it's our duty to work with them. That is the gospel we want to spread in the whole of Kenya. Elections should not make us fight. Elections, once it is over, we work together as a team. We have one country to promote. We are not going to go the violent way. We will respect who is elected. And His Excellency, the President, has said that if he's defeated, he will give up power. If Raila is elected, I'm the governor of Kisumu County, we will work together.
All right. It's time for us to wrap up this show, but very interesting comments that are coming in through. Let me just read several before we cross over to Rosgakwe so that we can wrap up. I don't understand why in Central there's no NASA thing. And no one is allowed to support NASA. Is this not tribalism? Now, how comes Kisumu and Western Jubilee is all around? Well, that's a point to ponder. But of course, I know there are candidates who are being sponsored by ODM in Central and particularly in areas of Kiambu County. Atieno, kindly focus on your manifesto. Don't mislead electorate that 6 peace will not work in Kisumu. All right, and you have quite articulated your manifesto. Kala Bobino from Kisumu, Otieno, her name was in the ballot paper last election. I would ask her to tell the people of Kisumu the agenda she has at this time, and she has actually done that, in all fairness. Atieno, Otieno, and Omari are too idealistic. Their political theories can't sell. David Kasuku from Nairobi. I'm just reading them unedited.
It's true, it's true.
In Kirinyaga, we will vote our very own Anne Waigoro. Of course, that's a positive comment. Somebody says you're a great woman. Madam Atieno, how are you going to sell your ideas in Luo land? What are your strategies? Again, this is what we spent almost 20 minutes of the first show doing. Most aspirants in Kisumu, they are scrambling through NASA. Why did she decide to run on Jubilee? That's again a question that you had to answer. And somebody is saying, please, Dunstan Omari, dwell on state agencies providing level playing field to all candidates, irrespective of their gender, but issues dominated. And that is King's Minor from Ford People. The rules of political competition are of such a nature that if left unregulated through laws, the arena is conservatively and thus naturally masculine. That is something you should think about. You're a lawyer. 2017 elections, no, women don't receive equal rights. My friend in NAC Kenya was edged out of a ballot by Meru's returning officer, and some people in Jubilee and PNU had separately seen the returning officer earlier to get her out of the party, and nobody was willing to intervene. The people behind her ouster are powerful. That is Jane Rita Kagwongo from Meru. The returning officer in North Imenti, Meru, has been receiving bribes to act against women. This is ongoing, and I mean, this is some of the challenges that women continue facing.
I'd like to address that.
Absolutely. Very quickly, if you can.
That's true. Women leaders have a lot of challenges, especially when men perceive this woman to have a lot of power. They go out of their way to make sure that they look for any opportunity to hit them and edge them out. And that's why we are encouraging all the other women that let's combine forces. Let's work together, let's support each other, because nobody will give it to us. We'll have to take it.
Are you working on that legal framework to change the rules of the game?
Very definite, both as where I teach and all over, even the media. I'll also be here tomorrow, 7 up to 8 in the morning. The mass education, civic education. My people suffer because of they do not have the knowledge.
That's the Bible.
We have given the knowledge. Let the women look for power, and let the citizens on vote the best candidate. Don't go for parties. Don't go for regions. Don't go for tribe. Vote for the best person.
Finally, you have preached a case for Atieno.
Thank you.
Okay. We cannot spend the whole night here. We have to go home. Political, debates are quite emotional and emotive, but again, very interesting. Thank you very much, Tino, for saving your time and coming to us to speak to us, as well as Dunstan Omari. Thank you very much. Your effort always appreciated being with us to analyze these things with us. Let's cross over to Rose Gakuo. Maybe she has political intentions in 2022. Maybe you see the road is not really clear for
the ladies there now.
Very well indeed. That's quite some feedback from the social media platforms, especially pertaining to the position or space of female political candidates and about my ambitions come 2022. Wow. Let me not talk about that, but of course I see people telling Dunstan Omari he's too realistic, or rather he cannot survive in the murky waters of politics. But well, just a reminder, that was Race 2017, a great, interesting conversation right there. Remember, you can join us every Sunday, same time, same place, for such and much, much more. I am Rose Gakuo. Time now to bring these to a close, and we thank you truly for your company this far. With the news, I have been Rose Gakuo. Well, our sign language interpreter has been Susan Thuku. John Jacob Curia. Well, I think that's it from our end.
Absolutely. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.